All right, Merry Congratulachristmas. We have the 8 Crazy Nights beer release on our doorstep.
It's close.
Launchpad brewer Paul Mahoney, I'm Connor Shreve. Starts Wednesday. This has been, a year in the making?
About. There's a reason why I look like how I look right now. Because I've been kind of slowly deteriorating, trying to get all these beers ready for 8 releases in 8 days.
Yeah,
which is big.
It hasn't been slowly. So let's start going into depth about some of these 8 beers that are going to be released for 8 straight days. It's something we've done for how long now?
It's been third year now going into
Okay.
it of doing the actual 8 Crazy Nights and having these awesome releases back to back to back. So it's kind of fun because it kind of plays off the holiday season. We kind of do these cool, unique releases that we really don't ever redo. We kind of bring some of them back, but
Right.
we kind of reinvent them too, which
Yes.
is kind of fun.
Sometimes a new way to do same ingredients or
Exactly.
same flavor profiles, stuff like that.
New techniques, new ingredients,
Yeah.
but kind of the same concept for
Yeah.
some of them.
We're going to talk a little bit about those techniques. We're going to talk about the logistics of what has made him great in terms of putting 8 new beers out for 8 straight days. And we're going to talk more in depth as to what those 8 beers are. I have a personal favorite that's coming back, at least in sort of similar form. That won't be until Christmas Eve. We'll talk about that just a little bit later. But how about beer number 1?
So beer number 1 is the Hangover Special, which I might need tomorrow actually, from what I'm feeling. But
You're allowed, I think.
I'm allowed. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
But so the first beer we have is an Imperial Brown that is aged in Law's bourbon barrels. And then we did a bunch of chai spice from Savory Spice here in Lowry. And we added some beautiful espresso coffee from West Coast Roasters. So it has like that, as my wife who kind of came up with the concept of this beer, it's kind of like that white girl wasted dirty chai kind of feel.
That's fantastic, and it's staying in the video.
Oh, it should. It should. And my wife doesn't even drink, but she was like, I think white girls don't like this.
And we talk about Savory Spice, we talk about the rye barrels that has been aged in. We talk about how communal this whole experience is as a craft brewery on the Launchpad Liftoff all the time. How much of an effort is made on your part to kind of bring in local businesses and local friends and people that we have a relationship with?
So the first part is coming up with the concept, which is usually for some of these barrel-aged beers is about 4 to 6 months in advance. We have to contact Laws to see if they have any barrels available, so we do kind of source those a little bit early. Brew the beer, get that done. Then it's about doctoring it up a little bit. So we hit up Savory Spice. They had a spice combo that we liked for chai spice, but we had to get the salt out of it. So we found a salt-free version of it. We didn't want to add that to the beer. We want it to be as true to spice as possible.
Right.
Instead of just doing like tea bags, doesn't seem like the fair way to do it. So we want to do the actual full spice, like full anise, full cinnamon, kind of really get it going, ginger, cardamom. So we had that, and we just add it directly to the barrel. So we got it like hot steep, so everything was sanitary, added to the barrel. And then we worked with West Coast Roasters, which is a fun partner of ours. They do our coffee for our the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun thing to tie in a different beer that we don't make all the time, because they do special roast for us sometimes. So this is kind of a cool,
that's cool.
A cool part of this espresso blend is a unique part.
Yeah. Now, we talked last week about how you think as a professional brewer about hops, all the things you have to deal with there. There are a lot of really good, really special releases, limited edition releases, beer releases in Colorado this time of year for the holidays. I don't think there is a release every day. I don't think a brewery does a release every day for 8 straight days. Tell me about the logistics of what goes into that and how far back you are sort of planning this.
So it involves a lot of liquor and a lot of beer, and not just for making
tough
beers.
life.
It's more about preparation. So usually we have a game plan about 4 months in advance to get an idea of what's going to be ready, what's going to come down the pipe, what's going to be done fermenting, and how we can doctor those and make them getting close for packaging. And then it becomes a whole team aspect. So I know you've been part of it for this aspect, getting everybody on the packaging line, making sure we're getting these cans ready, because it's not one of those things you can just go, oh yeah, well day 1's done. Oh shit, day 2's here. So we have to make sure all of our beers are packaged well in advance. So we're like, we have things ready for people to come in, especially now with COVID. We have online ordering. We have all these beers ready to go. We got to make sure people have access to them, so we can't just be filling them day of. And then it's also manipulating barrels, which you might be able to see a little bit in our backdrop, maybe not, but making sure barrels are moved in the right position so we can get them out in time, because getting beer 7 out of the release out of 8 is not the best thing to do when you need beer number 1 out. So it's a lot of logistics and moving things around and making sure we have the right number of kegs, making sure we're packaging off enough so we're not utilizing kegs. So it's a fun game, but it does involve a lot of liquor.
Yeah. And some of these beers have been in barrels much longer than 4 months.
Yep, some as long as 8 months. So our barley wine was sitting for about 8 months, which is probably my favorite beer. I know you said you have your favorite, which I don't think is the same one as mine. But it's for me, I'm a big barley wine fan. So it takes a little bit of time to get some of these done, and sometimes it does take almost a year.
Yeah. So tell me about the barley wine. What day and what about the beer?
So the barley wine's coming out. It's called Astronaut Christmas. It comes out on the 19th, which I believe is Saturday. And it is an English barley wine aged in Law's bourbon barrels for 8 months with apricots, pineapple, cranberries, and cherries, and then black walnuts as well. So it's kind of like pays homage to like what our astronauts have done, being on the ISS or being up in the Apollo missions, floating around in space. And when they're up there on Christmas, they don't have Christmas dinner, but their little treat is a little bit of fruitcake. So I'm trying to make this better than what fruitcake will probably be on the ISS or up in space, or any fruitcake you probably ever had, because fruitcake generally is the gift.
Right.
So trying to make something that's a little more drinkable, a little bigger, and it comes in. I think this batch right now we're looking at about 10.6%. So.
Okay. By the way, at Launchpad Brewery now, we do have a couple of outside heaters. Those are almost brand new, so if you've come in and tried to support us here in the last couple of weeks, you haven't had that luxury to now. We also have outdoor covered heated seating, so trying to make things a little bit more comfortable for you, try to make it a little bit easier for you to come in during the holidays. We have Christmas ornaments for sale as well. Really appreciate everybody who's been coming out. Can't say enough about how much we thank you during the holidays for that.
Well, totally. And also don't forget about bringing a toy for our toy drive right now for Fox 31 and Channel 2 that supports the Salvation Army. If you bring in a toy, you get a free beer. So let's try to make 2020 the year of the dumpster fire a little more prosperous for other people right now, and especially kids in need. So bring an unwrapped toy right now and you get a free beer from us. So.
And try to make it your goal to make it impossible for us to get out of the bar on that side, because that pile of toys is
big.
Starting to get so big it's hard to walk around at the moment.
It's getting so big, even Dave's kids are like, that's a lot of toys.
Yeah. My toy is the beer of this 8 Crazy Nights release that I'm most looking forward to. Will not come out until Christmas Eve.
You're actually wrong. It's the day before Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess it. It's family recipe. It's the pistachio honey beer.
Yes.
So that was a beer we did last year. We aged in bourbon barrels. This year we decided to forego the bourbon barrels, but we really drove a lot of pistachio home on this one. We actually doubled the amount of pistachios put into that beer, and the honey we kind of kept about the same. So kind of going for that baklava feel, but it's one of my favorites too. And for me, it was like we're trying to name these beers because last year we didn't have names. I was like, it's family recipe, but we're all family. I think all of us last year just fell in love with that beer.
Yes. Yeah, so really driving home more of the pistachio note than last year.
Big time.
Okay, great. Want to remind you that we will be open through Christmas Eve. If you want to come out, that toy drive will last until the 20th. If you like the videos, we do them every week. We really appreciate it. If you smash the subscribe button.
There it is.
Or like the video just underneath as well. That is much appreciated. We'll try to get you in on sort of the ins and outs of what goes on behind the front of house. Try to pick Paul's brain about brewing. Try to pick Dave's brain about running a craft brewery in 2020.
It's crazy.
2021, maybe. Let's not assume it'll be any less crazy. And until the next time, cheers. Merry Christmas.
Cheers.
Happy holidays.
And if you don't like Die Hard as a Christmas movie, unsubscribe.